Hey, welcome to Mad Dog's After Show. You're along for the ride with the Mad Dog and Cole, the Desert Assassin, Farrell.
We remember to do an intro this week.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure?
Man, oh man, here we go again, starting another great episode, and we have an exciting guest coming on, but you're going to have to wait. Glad you tuned in. Glad you could hear those inspiring words from the incredible Mr. Evil Knievel flying through the air, living in the sunlight and enjoying life.
Yeah, and the reason we even get to enjoy life and do the things we do and get into the silliness of motorsports is because of our first responders and the brave men and women of our armed forces and the families attached to all those who gave it all, and we just cannot be more grateful here on the show for all those brave Americans that let us do our thing.
Yep, absolutely. We would not be here without our great service people, and huge props and respects to the families of those that gave all, the MIA, KIA. Thank you for your sacrifice. Man, we're going to jump into this real quick. So we need to get our plugs out of the way. That would be Kicker Performance Audio, Kicker Marine Audio, Kicker Motorcycle Audio, Kicker Power Sports Audio. Kicker has you covered for anything you need, even Kicker Personal Audio. Check them out. Of course, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear. Innovative, comfortable, and cool. BomberEyewear.com. Of course, my man Cole, don't know where I'd be without him. Thank you, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're the magic button pusher on the other end of the line there, so couldn't do it without you. And speaking of magic, how about Shutter and World Media? Man, the work she does with our videos and gets them on YouTube. And by the way, thank you to everybody that keeps tuning in on YouTube. I am so stoked that the numbers are growing and we're just jacked up. But thank you, Shutter and World, for taking care of all our audio video needs, and we'll have more on that at the end of the show. Of course, Hey Geeks Marketing, handling our website and our social media templates, and capable of so much more. With that, dude, I think we should jump right in.
Let's do it. Let's bring on our guest.
All right. I told you we were going to have a special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of AMA Pro Racing and American Flat Track, Mr. Gene Crouch. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you. Thanks for, I know your schedule's crazy right now, so thanks for jumping on, man. I greatly appreciate it. We'll try not to take up too much of your time, but dude, you've got, well, here I am supporting.
All right. I love it.
One of the guys. Yeah. I've got all the event shirts from last year too, so that I wear. Right. Yeah, man. So now you've been, for those who don't know, Gene's been the CEO of AMA Pro Racing, American Flat Track since 22?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But time's flown by. But you've been with American Flat Track since what, like 05, 2000?
So I started with the France family in 05. At the time I was working at Grand American Road Racing. And in 06, we started a twin cylinder road racing series called MAddOG'S. And so I've been in the motorcycle side of the business since 06. MAddOG'S was this awesome, experience where guys like Springer, Gary Nixon, Bill Werner, where every weekend it's these guys and they're racing, twin cylinder motorcycles on road racing circuits. So that was my intro into the motorcycle racing world. And then we took on the professional rights from the American Motorcyclist Association in 2008. And I was the first guy in the door in '08, getting things set up on the technology side of the business, comms, marketing, that kind of thing. So I've worked my way through the company and worked in every department, been a part of the whole deal since day one. So
Yeah, and it's awesome to see the growth, and the level of competition can continually being raised. We'll get into this last year and the competition and all that in a bit, but I want to know, I know how passionate you are about motorsports and especially two-wheel motorsports. So let's jump into Time Machine. What pulled the pin on what lit the fuse when
so I grew up on racing BMX and doing big dirt BMX. So I've been on two wheels my whole life, and always wanted to go ride motocross, but didn't have the opportunity in my youth. And now I think I just end up breaking myself if I try to get out on, on a track. But I have done some flat track, and now I can still do that. But let me set
well,
do not disturb.
you have a new class that we'll get into too. Maybe we'll see you out there in like the Adventure Trackers class next year.
Oh yeah, I actually made that statement to the team here. I said, don't be surprised if I end up out there with a helmet on. So yeah, so what made me pull the pin? So like you said, in 2006 when Jim France started Moto ST, I immediately gravitated to that, and I was the I think the most passionate person from the office in Daytona about the motorcycle project right out of the gate from day one. Steve McLaughlin was involved. He's got a personality that is, infectious. I would say he's great to hang with and then learn from. And then you got Springer and Nixon, Jimmy Felice, Bill Warner. These are personalities, man. These guys are characters, and just the energy in the motorcycle racing world is it's so compelling. It's so interesting and so dynamic that immediately became my focus. It hasn't wavered.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's the community, the motorcycle community, whatever discipline you're racing, it's like a big family. Everybody's pretty tight, and the energy is just like you can't get that anywhere.
That is for sure. There's nothing like it.
No, and so you've been working on developing AFT and building AFT, and man, there's been a lot of really cool stuff that you've brought in the last, however long you've been CEO now, 4 years, 5 years. There's been a lot of advancement, and it's been great for the sport because there's been a lot of growth in the sport. And I mean, what do you like early on when you because I know you were at a different level. You were operations manager before CEO, right?
Yeah, as a COO. So I've been in a variety of capacities, communications and marketing. I led that department. I took over the timing and scoring for all of the professional racing properties at the end of 2009, going into 2010. And that was an interesting, steep learning curve. I knew about technology, but timing and scoring is like, it involves every type of technology that you can imagine that you see at the race weekend is somehow it touches timing and scoring in one way or another, whether it's the TV production, whether it's media, comms, competition, accounting, in some way, the timing and scoring data it's very deeply interconnected in every part of the business. So that was a fun department to take on. We had a lot of help from NASCAR. They provided their timing and scoring manager to help get us up to speed, and I learned a tremendous amount from them. And so that was really the kind of the pivotal moment where once I figured that out and I cracked that nut and modernized and standardized all of the systems and platforms that we have, it gave me a window into every part of the business, and opened up a lot of the paths for me to as I move forward. So I after the timing and scoring experience, I became CMO and then ran all of the marketing and communications efforts. I started up our internal production company we had AMA Pro Live is what I created it back in 2012. And we were providing coverage of the road racing classes that we had that didn't have television deals and flat track, which also it only had a limited television schedule at the time. That led to the creation of fanschoice.tv. And that's, we really ramped that up at the end of 2013. And we onboarded our own internal production department and built that from the ground up. So we started with production gear that was just, we would set it up in the announcer booth at Flat Track. And first race we did was Daytona, and we're out there in the infield. I got pictures of it. You can't hear anything. We're trying to call cameras and things, but we had no clue what we were doing at the time. But we grew from that into now we've got our own TV truck that we bring to all the races, and we produce all of the TV shows and the live streams. So our shows that are on Fox Sports, as well as our live streams that are on Flow Racing, those are all produced out of our truck with our team here. So that's been a journey as well over the last 12 years, developing the production capabilities, and I'm proud to see where we're at today.
Well, and for people who maybe haven't picked up on it yet, Gene is kind of a techno geek. Maybe I'm kind of under the surface, but that stems back. He's an audio guy of all things. Yeah. So, going back to the days of SPL and SQL builds and stuff like that. So, taking that and the love for that and being able to move it into learn and grow and develop new programs is really cool. And I know it seems like you're always working on something new.
Yeah, I'd say I'm an addict for innovation, I guess you could call it. I love to learn things. I love to build things. I love to work with my hands. And yeah, to your point about my background in audio, man, I miss the days of Spring Break Nationals, Daytona Beach, 1999, 2000. Man, I look back on those days fondly. I loved building car audio systems and did a bunch of. I did some competitions. I did Spring Break Nationals each year. Entered into that for their SPL competition, which is for those that aren't aware, it's you try to make the loudest possible sound that you can make out of speakers in your vehicle, which I was a Kicker guy. Kicker audio I've loved Kicker my whole life. So I always had, Kicker solo barracks in the back of my vehicles and, a couple thousand watts of amps back there trying to annoy the neighbors and anybody that I could, Actually, I was trying to draw attention. I thought I was the coolest guy in town, apparently,
Right.
I also, I got a few tickets in my day as well for drawing the wrong kind of attention for the bass. But yeah, I miss those days. Spring Break Nationals, man.
Well, it's either bass or it's motorcycles, right? One way or the other. I mean, you're drawing tickets. It's it's like nature of the beast, I think. I don't know. Yep. But yeah, no, and the technology stuff, and we'll get into that, I think, later. But so much of it, like I want to chirp on the setup that you did, since we're talking about Kicker, and Kicker happens to be a big sponsor of the Mad Dogs After Show and American Flat Track, a presenting sponsor of the American Flat Track Singles. And grateful for them doing that because it's allowed me to do more, be at more American Flat Track, of course, and that's a big rolling ball. But man, the use in Sturgis, we talked about this on my Sturgis recap with Cole, but the use of the brilliant use of the marine horns, Kickers KMTC marine horns in a PA situation. Um, Man, I know you and I had talked about it up before that at times, trying, with ideas, but you actually put it into activation, and holy cow, what an undertaking just that one little aspect was. Huge difference, but what an undertaking. Like, how do you go about figuring out, oh, I need this amp, I need these amps, I'm going to use this, and use some really innovative technology for broadcasting too.
Yeah, that came about, the prior year we had been downtown Sturgis, and we had put on a street race called the Sturgis TT, and it was right there on the streets of downtown Sturgis at the end of the motorcycle rally. It was a phenomenal event. We were met with a lot of challenges, anything from political challenges to rain on the day of the event to we were running out of daylight and still needed to get the show in. And thank God we ordered those lights for the light stands, but we got it done, and it ended up being a great event. And I wish that we were still able to continue with that. But the one piece that the feedback that we got from the fans was that the audio. There's no audio, and we had some speakers. We had a local company bring out a PA system, but if you think about it, if we're racing around on the streets, we would have had to have deployed speakers all the way around the perimeter. We should have, and so that's really where this idea sprung from. Was like, man, next time we need to do something where we've got the ability to get PA speakers all around the racetrack. If we're the flat track is a very diverse sport. We're able to we race on a very diverse set of circuits, from short tracks, which are, at local motorcycle clubs, or at Daytona short track here at Daytona International Speedway. We've got half miles, which are typically going to be what they call a car track, if we're racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway on their dirt track. Places that are typically, where car racing typically happens, and there's more infrastructure at those, and typically they're good for running major events, and they have great sound. We also race at mile courses, which are horse tracks. And typically those are, they've got pretty good sound infrastructure, but not always. Some of them are older facilities. And then we race at TTs, like the Peoria TT at Peoria Motorcycle Club in Illinois, which is one of the longest, if not the longest AMA, or an active AMA chartered motorcycle club and racetrack, where they've been running races for 100 years,
Wow.
And so with all of these diverse circuits, we're met with different challenges. And to be able to provide a consistent experience for the fans, that those two kind of things converge in my mind, where it's like we had these challenges downtown at Sturgis, but we also have challenges at some of the facilities we go to, and it becomes an inconsistent experience for the fan. So we've got all this TV production truck we built. We've got all these people here who are doing a great job of storytelling, but if the fans can't hear it, that's our paying customer that's coming to the racetrack that is there to be entertained. And so we needed to do something to expand our capabilities into audio, so we'd be able to provide that consistent experience for the fans. And so when we moved to Jack Pine Gypsies Motorcycle Club after the Sturgis TT, so in 2025 we moved to Jack Pine Gypsies Motorcycle Club, which is also in Sturgis. And it's another one of the motorcycle clubs that's been around for 100 years. I mean, I don't know which one is older, either Peoria or Jack Pine Gypsies. I'll have to look into that. But it's an incredible group of people as well. Great to work with, and they run some short track races, but they had never run a national at the level that we were looking to bring there. And one area that they said that we would need to bring outside support is in audio, whether we rented a local system. And I said, man, this is the opportunity. And so I had this idea in my head that using the concepts that I had built out when we were doing fanschoice.tv in the early years. We were doing everything wirelessly with low cost wireless gear instead of using fiber optic cable to get the data around and the video around. We were using this low cost wireless gear, like the same kind of thing you would use to get Wi-Fi at your house, but we were focusing that and beaming it at a high bandwidth, high frequency, high bandwidth rate. And so we were able to get the video signals back. And so I said, man, if I could employ that same technology to do it with audio, we would be able to drop PA speakers anywhere we want. And it would be something that's relatively quick to deploy for our production team. They're already going out there and deploying cameras. So, hey, let's see if we can get them to drop some speakers while they're out there. And so when I spoke with Jeremy at Kicker, he had the brilliant idea of the Marine speaker. And I didn't even think of Marine speakers at the time. I hadn't even looked at that line, I don't have a boat, so I hadn't really paid attention to that.
Right.
But it was a brilliant idea because they're self-contained, they are waterproof, they're weatherproof, and you're able to mount them. I was able to mount them to these tripods, these poles that we already have. And so I kind of combined the concepts of what I had done in the past, and with just that brilliant idea. I'll never forget that phone call. It was just the perfect opportunity for us to pull together something really cool and work with Kicker Audio and deliver something for the fans. And man, it worked. It sounded great, especially day two. We worked the bugs out after day one, but it sounded great at the Jack Pine Gypsies Motorcycle Club. And so really appreciative of the support from Kicker. I know the Jack Pine Gypsies are as well, and I hope the fans enjoyed that experience. You're going to see more of that next year too.
Yeah, it was really incredible. Even the first day, it was so it was, for me, it was cool because it's our product, right? It's a Kicker product, right? But two, the sound was so good everywhere you went, whether you were playing music or Scotty was talking or Kristen was talking or Colby was talking. The sound quality was amazing, and I was blown away. And to his credit, we give J-Dub a lot of credit over here often, because he's always got some great idea going. So I'm glad he thought of that, and man, that was just the integration and to be able to make it work. I know it was day one. It was almost a panic fest to get everything together. But I've seen it's not out yet, and AFT will have it out. The Sturgis Track Walk with Scotty Dubler, and we actually highlight the speakers in there, and it's really cool because they clip in. Your guys did an amazing job. The way they clipped in all these cuts of all of us working together to get it going. I just thought it was really cool. And man, there's so much of that kind of stuff that you're integrating, as well as schedules and venues and all that. Jack Pine Gypsies, for instance, our fans are really familiar with the Sturgis TT because I was a massive fan, and I think we talked about it probably 2 or 3 episodes in a row. We even had Scotty Dubler on, talked about it, because I thought it was amazing, and being able at the City of Sturgis, or Sturgis Streets TT, whatever it was called. That was your conception, but watching it in activation was unbelievable. I mean, J-Dub and I walked around all over the place, and people were 3 to 5, 7, 10 people deep all the way around the fences. And it was just such a unique, I'm bummed it's gone. I'm sure there's some riders that are like, well, thank God we don't have to do that again. But in the same right, they're professional riders, get on the bike and ride. That's what I keep saying. And I thought it was unbelievably entertaining. It was great racing. And it was just super cool for the fans, seeing it from often. I am often called very immature. So seeing it from like a 10-year-old motorsport head kid's eyes walking around, I was in seventh heaven. I'm like, we got to do this again. But that being said, when we went back to Jack Pine, um, the people there were super great. Um, I thought all three races were incredible. The Super TT was just as unique and amazing there as the streets were. So I think you nailed it 2 years in a row. So
It's been an interesting path that Sturgis TT, the original Sturgis TT concept that came from a friend he's got a marketing and experiential agency. It's the agency's called Outer Kind. So we got a phone call from Ben Keene one night, and this is another phone call I'll never forget. I'm pacing around my backyard. Ben Keene had done the logo design. He'd been involved in the logo design for the city of Sturgis. So we had a relationship there. They had reached out to him with an RFP. They wanted to have a street race. And so Ben reaches out to us and he says, we need to call AMA Pro Racing down in Daytona Beach. So he reaches out to us, and I'm pacing back and forth in my backyard as he's talking about it, because I got the vision for what it could be. I understood exactly what the opportunity represented. And I said, they wanted to do it that following year. I talked to him in October, I think, and they wanted to have the Sturgis TT, the whatever year that would have been, 2023, I guess.
Wow.
And I said, we want to be involved, but this is not something that you can pull together in 10 months. It's just not possible. It wouldn't be done to the level that that it needed to be. And safety is paramount in our world.
Absolutely.
So to make sure that we get this right out of the gate is the most important thing, from a safety standpoint. And I knew that we would need to do spend some time on that. And that it was going to be something that needed due diligence beyond something you could do in 10 months. So ultimately, they sent the city Sturgis sent somebody down. They sent Lance Shearer down for Daytona Bike Week that year, and we got to know Lance. He's a wonderful person, great guy, and he got to see what AMA Pro Racing and what American Flat Track brings to the table. We have air fence that we deploy at all rounds, and we travel up the country with hundreds of thousands of dollars of air fence, which is inflatable barriers. We have our own TV production truck and capabilities in that space. And we were producing content for the gold tier of broadcasters, Fox Sports, Flow Racing, and that's the message that he brought back to Sturgis. That led to them deciding, okay, let's explore this opportunity with AMA Pro Racing, but let's do it in 2024. Let's spend the time to get this right.
Yeah.
And so from that point, it was a year and a half that we had that was a lot of work, but it was one of the most interesting and dynamic experiences that I have ever been a part of. I had no idea. I'd never been involved in politics in any way. And there was some political headwinds in the city of Sturgis. I'll just say that. It led to, I think we've had 4 mayors. There's been 4 mayors over the course of that first year that we worked with.
Wow.
And man, learning how local politics and understanding how to communicate with a community and to get to know that community at a deeper level was a wonderful experience. But man, it was an interesting and dynamic one, and had a lot of challenges as well. So I'm proud to say that we pulled off an excellent event. I'm proud of everything that we did there. And man, I look back on it and I go, if I knew now what I knew then, if I knew then what I know now, would I have walked that walk? I don't know, but
Right.
it was a great event. I wish we were able to continue past that first year.
It was definitely a highlight for me, but like I said, the adapt and overcome your adapt and overcome attitude by getting Jack Pine Gypsies involved. And we talked about the history of that on our recap from Sturgis this year. I mean, that's how Jack Pine Gypsies started, basically, was, I think it was 1902. And they had the first flat track race there. And it was, or dirt track race, I guess it was called then, on, I think, a half mile.
So it's an interesting story. There's the city of Daytona Beach and the city of Sturgis are like twin flames or something. There's these interconnectedness between our two communities that I had no idea about until I got to know the Jack Pine Gypsies, and I got to know a lot more about the history of the early days. And I believe it was 1937 was the Daytona 200s when the Daytona 200 was moved down here to Daytona Beach from the Savannah 100 is what it had been. And I believe that event, if I'm not mistaken, that's the event that's been relocated down here to Daytona Beach. The France family has been involved and instrumental in promoting that race since the very beginning. And so really the Daytona Bike Week sprung up out of the motorcycle race that came down to Daytona Beach in 1937. You've got a very similar story in the city of Sturgis where, again, I at the risk of misspeaking, I believe it was 1938 was the start of the motorcycle rally in the city of Sturgis. And it started with the Jack Pine Gypsies and Pappy Hoyle hosting a flat track race at the Sturgis Fairgrounds on the half mile. And, these two rallies have grown up and out of a motorcycle race, a flat track motorcycle race 90 years ago. It's just an incredible coincidence. There's so many similarities in the challenges that each of these rallies have faced, and some of the things that have happened over the years are identical in these two cities. And it all sprung out of a flat track motorcycle race,
It's wild,
I think the first adventure tracker race we had the same number of entries in that class as the first motorcycle race that the Jack Pine Gypsies put on at the Sturgis half mile. I can't remember.
Wow.
It was like 9 or 11 entries, whatever it was. And I'm like, man, that's just another one of those synchronicities.
Yeah,
It's just,
it was meant to be.
The wild thing is that Sturgis Fairgrounds, that half mile is still there.
Yeah,
which is incredible. And man, I would love to be able to get an opportunity to race there and to revitalize that and protect that facility. That's a part of American history. That's Americana.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually made a point to drive by it while we were there in Sturgis.
Yeah, I do every time I go there, and it's incredible that it's still there. If you think about racing facilities around the country, there are a handful that are that old. If there's not many, and to think that all these years later, right there in the middle of the city of Sturgis, you've got this wonderful piece of American history where we could still race. I mean, I'd love to get back there and work with the city of Sturgis and help to protect that as a part of American history and revitalize it as an opportunity for future national level racing at some point.
Man, I support that 100%. It's anything I can do to help, let me know for sure. Because it would be that, how cool would that be to do a Jack Pine short track, an authentic downtown half mile, and a super TT at Jack Pine, like jump back and forth. It'd be, dude, you got my vote.
And I've been told that there is a mile not too far away from the city of Sturgis. So you could actually run all 4 of the disciplines. That's the dream, baby. That would be insane. And Jack Pine's got the motocross. They got an awesome motocross track, and they've got the hill climb. Yeah. And they do hair scrambles.
Wow. I didn't know they did hair scrambles, but we're actually, I have them on my list to get on the to get on the show at some point. And I know they've been working like crazy on a bunch of construction on the motor track and stuff. So when things are a little more wintry for them, we'll get them on here, and probably in January, I'm guessing. But yeah, so man, last year was the most I traveled with the circuit, and being able to go to so many legendary places and really be involved in a small part. But thank you, to you and Kicker, to American Flat Track, AMA Pro Racing, you personally, Cameron, Kicker. Man, I have been to some damn cool places all around the country with American Flat Track. I mean, everywhere from legendary Pacific Northwest, Castle Rock, Washington, to the Sacramento Mile, to Daytona Short Track, which this last year I actually, Robbie, God bless Robbie. I love Robbie to death. And he actually didn't know it at the time, but facilitated probably a 5-year-old a dream of mine since I was 5 years old, and that was to walk on to the surface of Daytona International Speedway. And he didn't know it at the time. I was just helping him put sandwich boards up and stuff because it was too windy to set anything up. And he pulled out right by there, and we walked out there and on the back stretch, and I looked down, and I'll tell you, the hair on my arm stood up about 5 times higher. I mean, so it's super cool. But now where I'm jumping around a lot, but I'm excited because in 2026, we're starting again Daytona. That's been the typical start for years, as I understand it. But I've been the short track 2 years now, and we're going to do it again the third time this year in 26. But Sonoy, amazing racetrack. I'd never been there. It's not Sonoya, people. It's Sonoy. If you say Sonoya, local people are going to beat you in the head. And great opportunity to see somebody break in a motorcycle track like I've never seen before, where the owner of the track ran his dirt modified around the track to open that upper groove, which we talked about that for 2 weeks on the podcast. It's just rad. This year, so that's the same this year, and then Ventura, Chico out here on the West Coast, but you have some different venues this year that you're going to hit.
Yeah, we have a new one, which we're really excited about, is the Throttle Fest at Budds Creek Motocross Park. We've gotten to know Ezra Beasley really well over the last few years, and really the last year in particular. And Ezra's a young, high energy, highly intelligent promoter with a capital P. He's got these incredible ideas. It's been so refreshing to meet somebody that has these wild ideas, and you just go, yes, let's do that. Whatever, almost anything that he says, I'm like, yes, I'm on board. Let's go. So Throttle Fest is really the combination of all of Ezra's ideas and all of the best of our ideas as well. And we've been collaborating on this concept of having a festival of motorcycle racing. So it'll be May 16th. Will be the national, the AFT National at Budds Creek, but it's a 4-day event, and there's going to be amateur motocross. There's going to be an enduro cross. There's going to be a hare scramble, a pit bike race. I mean, the list goes on and on over those 4 days. And we're working on a concept that we are hopefully going to be able to announce soon. It'll be very exciting to be able to get that announcement out once we get everything pulled together. But there will be a really big opportunity for, let's just say, the best of the best. If somebody can master all of the disciplines that are a part of that weekend, there's going to be something cool at the end of the tunnel for them. So more to
Awesome.
come on that. Great to meet, get to know Ezra Beasley, and we're really looking forward to that event. That's also an event where we'll have a CTR, Corey Texture Racing Amateur Flat Track CTR Showcase event will be on May 15th, and then the AFT National will be the 16th. So more details coming soon on that one. And then the next week, we're actually going from Mechanicsville, Maryland to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
I saw
We're
that.
going back to Williams Grove, which is a track that we're very excited to go back to Kathy and her place and have a great race there. And you got to be in PA. That's the heartbeat these days for sure. There's a ton of flat track fans from that area, and so we're excited to go back to PA.
Awesome.
Then a week
Yeah.
after that, I just realized, or 2 weeks after that, we're at another new track. We're at Billy Lane's facility and right outside of Nashville.
Nashville. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the National Short Track at Tennessee National Raceway is going to be June 6th.
Oh, I didn't realize that was Billy Lane's facility. So that's super cool. I'm looking for. I hope I get the call on all those. And Ezra, um, Ezra is a great guy. I got to meet him and spend a little time with him. Basically just on the podcast when Cameron surprised me with him when we did the live broadcast from Springfield. But surprise upon surprise, Ezra dropped the American Flat Track was going to race there next year, and I was literally like, what? So it's pretty exciting, and it's great for the fans to see progression, right? I mean, okay, we're going to go do this track this year. And, maybe, maybe at some point the series is going to expand to 18 races or 20 races or whatever. But you've got all these tracks that you've got history at now, which is pretty incredible.
Yes, yeah, the strategy is to bring flat track to where the flat track fans are, and that starts with the motorcycle clubs. So the relationship with Jack Pine Gypsies, as I got to know those guys and develop that relationship over the last few years, I got to know the challenges that they face and some of the headwinds that they face. And, there was a thought in their mind at one point that maybe we just won't do short track racing anymore, which would be devastating if that were to happen. Or, it could erode the opportunity for people to learn about flat track and start racing flat track if there was nobody promoting short track races anymore. And so getting to the motorcycle clubs is important. It's critically important for us, and realigning the sport with the amateur ranks and creating that pipeline for talent with our relationship with CTR is just as important. So you mentioned earlier about the Jack Pine Gypsies and the motocross track. So part of what we were able to work out, thanks to our partner Caterpillar, we were able to work out an opportunity for Jack Pine Gypsies to be able to utilize the equipment. That first year for the Sirius TT, they brought the dirt from the short track downtown and helped us build that dirt section of the Sirius TT. And so we needed to obviously that you got to mobilize equipment, and you need a lot of heavy equipment from Caterpillar to make that happen. And so Caterpillar was able to assist and allowed the Jack Pine Gypsies to utilize that equipment to freshen up and build up their moto track. So they built it up that year, and then they've continued. Everything that we did with Caterpillar this year at moving the event to the Jack Pine Gypsies, that also required a lot of support from Cat, and we appreciate that very, very much. But that Cat equipment has allowed them to, again, continue to make improvements to their facility. And so if we're able to do that same thing everywhere we go and help the motorcycle clubs, whether it's having a national at the motorcycle club or whether it's, supporting while we're there, even if we're not racing at that facility, but getting to know the local motorcycle club and supporting with any way that we can is a part of our strategy moving forward.
Yeah, a huge shout out to Kara and our girls, Kara and Sloan over at Caterpillar, man. I love them to death, but they're also amazing in what they do and provide equipment wise and assistance wise. And kind of whatever you need, they got your back, and huge supporters of motorsports. I've reached out to them in recent times to help some friends of mine, and they were all over it. So, I'm just super grateful for all their support for sure. And they become great friends. And that actually goes to what we started out with about, motorcycle racing and the atmosphere and the electricity in the atmosphere and the almost family, like, we're it's like we're all living our childhood dreams, and we're all a bunch of spaz kids having a blast,
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, the community, it's a very tight knit community. And for anyone who has been to a flat track race, they'll understand right away. It's a family. It really is. And most of us spend more time with the community, with the flat track community, than we do with our own families.
Yeah.
Whether it's I'm on the phone with somebody until 1 a.m, talking through something that's whether it's an event we're working on or rules, or concepts for the future, or it's at the racetrack where we're there and we're in the heat of an event. But we spend really some of the most memorable moments of our lives together on the road and at the nationals. So
Yep, absolutely.
it's a wonderful community, and I'm honored to have become a part of it, and now have the opportunity to provide leadership for how we stabilize and grow the sport for the future.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of growing the sport for the future, you touched on it a little bit. The CTR, the Corey Texter Racing Promotions collaboration, I guess it would be, is uh, for explain it for those that haven't seen it or haven't read about it. Just touch on it real quick. What basically it's a feeder program in essence.
Yes, yeah, it's a feeder. It's a realignment of the amateur ranks and the pro ranks, and there's been kind of an imprecise at best relationship between amateur and pro for the better part of the last 2 decades, maybe longer. I'm not sure where it started to break down, but it became something that I identified as a major part of the business and part of the sport that needed to be fixed. And the opportunity to work with Corey, he's got, he's had a series of really good events that he's been running around the country.
Yeah.
And the word I would use is vibe. They have a great vibe to them. The first winter throwdown that I went to, the Corey Texter race down at Callahan Speedway in January each year, I got it immediately because it was that community feel, that vibe. There was this just good feeling. Everybody was having fun and smiling and having a good time. And we're still, we were there producing for fanschoice.tv. We had our production crew there in our truck, and we were there producing the live streaming show for fanschoice.tv. So it was still an event that we were involved with, but it just was a little different, and it's that sense of community that the amateur flat track world has, and that's where it all starts. So that was an important moment for me, I think, is realizing that we needed to fix that link between amateur and pro. I was talking with Corey after that event about the entries, and I said, there were some names in his singles group. So there were some names on there that I didn't recognize. How old are those kids? And he said, 17, 18 years old. And I'm going, well, how come they're not coming to AFT? Why don't they have their pro card? And so just exploring that and trying to understand, why that link had broken and where it had broken. If you go back to the beginning and you go back to the growth, the evolution and the growth of the Grand National Championship coming out of World War II, with Jules Horkey, the AMA's director of competition, taking the reins in 1947, and then the formation of the Grand National Championship in 1954, and the growth all the way up through the 50s, 60s, and into the 70s. into the heyday and the golden era of the sport, it was based around the ability for a guy or a girl to go buy a motorcycle, get their AMA card, and show up to their local short track and race. And then when the national came to town, you would have this opportunity for the local rider and regional rider to, if they had their expert car, they'd be able to get out there with the stars. And that accessibility and that alignment between local, regional, and Grand National Championship, that was what allowed the sport to grow and flourish for all those decades. And that, and then the availability of the motorcycles. You could literally go buy a motorcycle from a showroom and then
right,
minimum modifications to it, and you could go race. So the two pieces of the strategy that I've been implementing since I've really come to understand the history of the sport at a much deeper level are the alignment with the amateurs and starting to fix that talent pipeline, which I think we're there. We're in a crawl, walk, run, and we're about to start. We're certainly walking. Hopefully, we'll be running on that initiative. The other side of it is the availability, and so what you're seeing with adventure trackers and that class, and what is coming next year with our street tracker class, is about availability. These are motorcycles that you can buy, and then you can go race. You make some modifications, especially in the street tracker class. You make some modifications, and it'll allow the engineers that are out there and the brilliant minds in the flat track paddock to still be creators and do what they do best. But it's going to be able to be something where the manufacturers and the dealers will be able to support again. Our adventure tracker class, I'll give you an example. Adventure trackers is our class that we started for large displacement adventure bikes. And we had a lot of OEM interest and a lot of and OEM support. So Harley Davidson, Triumph, and BMW all supported teams and provided bikes. And so these are motorcycles that they still had horns on them, even, which I think that was my favorite part of Fergus, was when they're literally out there honking at each other.
I agree.
Competition has made them. They're going to make them take the horns off, which I'm opposed to. But we'll let them. The competition is going to make their call on that one.
It's funny because I read through the tech bulletin this morning, and read through that they were making them take the horns off, and I was like, man, I'm going to hit Gene on that when we have him on the cast this afternoon, because that bums me out.
Me too. Because it was so entertaining to see. You got Danny Eslick out there, and you got you can't really tell who was honking. At one point on the start line, they're all honking at each other. But watching these guys ride that track and hit the horn when they're trying to pass somebody, I'm going, this is hilarious. But it reinvokes Class C. It reinvokes the Class C era that allowed the sport to flourish. If you can take a motorcycle and spend not much more money at all to get it racing, really you're taking off things. You're not needing to put things on. You're not needing to do any kind of significant engine work to them. Man, that's the dream, right? I can't think of the word right now, but an association or an alignment like that. If you look at the motocross side of the business, and you've got 1986, the works rules going into place, and so they're going from the factory guys having these bespoke one-off bikes that you can't buy, to, all right, everybody's got to run production motorcycles. Everybody's going to be on a bike you can buy from a dealership.
Right.
If you trace the growth of motocross from 1987, right, when that rule goes into place, you can trace that growth linearly to today, and it's a continual increase. Conversely, as flat track became more and more specialized, with more specialized equipment, and with prototypes, Class A thinking, when that got involved, or each time that's gotten involved in flat track, you see a decline, and you see a continual decline. Because if somebody can't buy it, they don't know how to build it, then how do they get involved in the sport?
Right.
And so that's a challenge. that the sport has faced multiple times over the 100-year history, and it's something that hopefully we can learn from the lessons of history here, and learn from those that were in my shoes in prior generations, and make calls, make decisions that will help to grow the sport and spin this thing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the addition. Cole might chime in here, because we have talked about the need for a feeder system, a growth system for the American flat track to get to the pro class, and whatever series it is, whether it's kick arena cross or somebody else's arena cross, or outdoor motocross or whatever, they all have this step feeder system like you're talking about. And that's something that was that we've said was missing. There was a disconnect there between these programs and being a pro, and
Yes.
now it's refreshing to see that addressed. And it can only go up from there. I mean, and the other side of it is, for me, you know i I deal with guys now on the kicker arena cross side that are pros, that were racing 50 in the 5 to 6 class when I started doing the series for kicker, you know, and
Yeah.
and on top of that, a shameless plug for kicker, they're putting kicker audio in their vehicles when they get them, when they turn 16 or 17, because they grew up with that brand as they grew up through the sport, right? So
Yeah.
it's a great continuous link that needed to be reestablished, and kudos to you for pulling that trigger and getting that done.
When we get this right, it'll be the equivalent of the Loretta Lynn's program within flat track. And so what Dave Coombs created with the Loretta Lynn's program, and what Kerry Coombs, Davey Coombs are providing leadership over, is an incredible case study in how you get it right, build a pipeline, and how you create an aspirational experience for young riders, that they've got something to focus on, that they are targeting, and that ultimately will lead to the best of the best becoming factory riders in AMA Pro Motocross at the national level. And if you look at Hayden Deegan, for example, and just if you go back through the history, even any of the stars, Ricky. So look at Ricky, right, and his Loretta Lynn's experience. I've talked with Scott Taylor quite a bit about the history of those days, and it's when you get it right. It's how you create the pipeline for talent, how you create stars, and provide an opportunity for the rider talent to grow and become a name before they become a name. And it's how you provide that opportunity for teams and manufacturers to get their eye on talent and identify who they want to begin working with and who they're going to go after when they turn 16 and get their pro card. So when we get it right, this will be our version of that. And Kerry and Davey and Tim Potter have been awesome at helping me understand, what has worked, what hasn't worked, and how to align the various stakeholder groups and get everybody rowing in the same direction. So I appreciate all of the advice and insights they've provided. And it's going to be a really good opportunity working with Corey each weekend. Or 7 of the nationals are going to have that CTR Mission Food Showcase event the day before on that Friday. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to work, hand in hand, hand in glove, whatever the saying is, with Corey, and start to develop our own version of that Loretta Lynn's program within the flat track ranks.
Well, and then on top of it, you're adding classes, like you've added the street tracker class this year, on top of the adventure tracker, which the street tracker is like you said, going to be a much more affordable way for people to get in, to get ready to become pros, um, by basically, like you said, using a production bike, right? So,
Yes. Yeah, we also have our AFT Pro Stock 450 class, which is really Pro Sport 450, I think is what we went with on that name. But it's that class is a stock 450 class is the way to describe it. And it is a class that is going to be the road to AFT class. We've talked about the road to AFT for the better part of a decade, and I finally said it's time to get this thing launched. And so the working with Corey again, it provides that perfect opportunity where we've developed this class structure, a cost-contained, production-based 450cc single-cylinder class. That will run on Corey's days, on the Friday of the CTR Mission Showcase events, or in Daytona, it would be on the Wednesday. March 4th will be the CTR Showcase event. So this cost-contained stock 450 class will run on Corey's day. And then what we're working on right now, and we'll have more details on this soon, is we're working on an opportunity to be able to showcase the top riders from each of those CTR showcase events the day before. We're working on a plan to be able to showcase those riders on the day of the national the next day. And we'll use that opportunity in a similar way to how MX Sports uses the combines, where you've got up and coming riders, 14 and 15-year-old riders who are able to be a part of the national weekend in a low stress environment before they get to the sport and get their pro card. They
right.
get to learn about what it takes to go through a day. What is a day's schedule like when you're a pro? It's a lot different than it is when you're running an amateur event. What are the expectations in technical inspection? Those guys will not have been through the level of tech inspection that Dave McGrath and our crew
Yeah.
put in place on the day of the nationals. Even hearing from Cage Tadman, who his first two events, he gets his pro card. He comes to AFT National in Ventura, and he sweeps the weekend in the singles class. I don't think anybody expected that. There are people that knew he was going to be a star or he'd be fast, but I don't think anybody anticipated him to sweep that weekend and the next weekend. I look back through the history, and I can't find a time where anything like that ever happened, and it's pretty incredible. But hearing from him that at his first national, he goes out he does practice qualifying, and then he gets there for his heat race start, and there's a light. What's the light about? How does that work? He had never started with a light, and I go, and I
Right.
hadn't, even considered it. So those are some of the pieces that we're going to be working with Corey on, where we'll provide our light, we'll provide timing and scoring equipment for him and his team to use. We'll provide the air fence on the day of the CTR races to get these kids, these up and coming future stars of the sport, to get them acclimated to the pro ranks before they get to the nationals, where you've got the thousands of fans and TV cameras on you.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. I think it's great, and I think it's going to be great for the sport, and the tracker classes are just going to build more and grow, because it's going to be even for the guys that maybe aren't going to run. I think it opens the door for some local guys that would run, but maybe can't afford to run the circuit, or can't afford the pro bike, what it requires to be a super twin, or twin, I guess it is now. They're still super twins to me, because
they're still super twins.
Yeah, if you stood by the fence at Springfield or Sacramento and they've gone by at 130 miles an hour, it's pretty damn super.
Nothing like it. Yes, that is for damn sure. Yeah, it's definitely still at Mission AFT Super Twins, and we are. I should make sure that I'm clear on that point. These other classes are intended to help get guys ready for Mission AFT Super Twins. It's not taking anything away from that class. That is the Grand National Championship, and it's continued form since 1954, and that is the pinnacle of the sport, and the engineering that goes into that class and the expertise is at another level. It is,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's at another level. It's one of the most complex engineering problems in motorsports, hands down. Is how do you get a twin cylinder motorcycle to go faster on a dirt track? It's not easy. It may look easy, but when you've got the talent level that we have in that class, combined with the engineering expertise and what I call the flat track black magic expertise of the Kenny Tolberts of the world and
Right.
and the Dave Snoddies of the world. There's magic in what those guys do.
Yeah.
And so these classes, the adventure trackers and the street trackers class, are the stepping stone. It's the bridge between your AFT singles, your entry class into American flat track, and where the gods are racing, building motorcycles and racing them.
Right.
How do you get between those two places, especially when you can't buy what those guys are racing in Super Twins right off the showroom floor? Well, you got to have something in between that allows them to build to get
Yeah.
there. Go buy a motorcycle and you can race it in adventure trackers almost exactly how it is, or
Yeah.
go buy a motorcycle and you can start to make modifications to the swing arm to accommodate a 19-inch wheel. You can make adjustments to really everything except for the main frame and the VIN. Those are in the look of the motorcycle. Those are the sacrosanct pieces of that class, but other elements are allowed to be adjusted, and engineering will be a place where guys can start to learn. Team owners can begin to learn
Right.
what it'll take for them to get to Super Twins.
Yeah, that's rad. I think it's great, and I think it's going to be good for the sport. And I'm looking forward to seeing them all run. It's I can't hardly wait for Bike Week. I've got a kicker arena cross season to get done first, but I can hardly wait for Bike Week in Daytona. And that's for those of you listening. If you're interested and you want to go, Bike Week in Daytona is something to behold. And the American Flat Track races are March 4th and 5th, or 5th and 6th.
Yeah, we've got the Wednesday will be that CTR showcase event, Wednesday, March 4th. Then we've got
okay.
The first AFT National, the Royal Enfield Short Track at Daytona 1 is going to be Thursday, March 5th. And Royal Enfield Short Track at Daytona number 2 will be Friday, March 6th at Daytona Flat Track.
Exceptional racing. That short track has so much history in the whole complex. I mean, it's Daytona International Speedway. It's the grand cathedral of all things racing in U.S. soil, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there's so much history, whether it be bikes, cars, Indy cars,
It's the world center of racing.
It's incredible, folks. You gotta get there and check it out, and be sure and go. Let me see, what AmericanFlatTrack.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you
91 days until Daytona, Lauren. 91 days.
I'm excited, and you can get the whole schedule there, all the information, but also, I can't go without giving a shout out to my buddy Joey Lee. Get over there and get yourself some American Flat Tracker gear, because I think I saw it on Instagram or something. It was they're having a sale right now, so jump on there and get you some of that cool AFT gear. Also, I might have half a closet full of AFT cool shirts, and man, I'm shout out Joey Lee for all the cool designs this last year. I'm loving that. But yeah, so they got you covered no matter what, for sure. But man, it's going to be an exciting season.
It is. It's going to be a great one. And yeah, speaking about the merchandise, we're going to be expanding our Legends line. If we've got some merchandise from the stars of the sport during the golden era. So we've got Parker on there. We've got Springer. I think we're working on a car design. And then we've got Will Davis. I believe they just posted that. So some great great merchandise from your favorite stars from the history of the sport. And we're looking to expand that line as well, and proceeds from those apparel lines go to the riders. That is something that helps get those guys a paycheck still coming in. So
Awesome. I didn't
yeah,
know that part. That's rad.
yeah, we do a rev share with them so that we're covering what we need to make it happen, and then the rest goes to them. We're giving them, it's a 50-50 split, as I believe what we worked out. So
That's great.
we are, and it's a great opportunity for us to engage and give back to those guys and give them a platform online. And some of the Springer, and when we first posted the Springer and Parker merch, it was like boom, man, it was selling like crazy. So,
yeah.
We're on something, And again, I called Scotty Parker. I said, hey man, I owe you a check. He goes, oh really? I don't get many of them anymore. I said, well, I'm gonna be sending you a check. We sold a bunch of T-shirts online, so it's good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and as you continue to grow, you're continuing to build legendary champions, and as they become vintage, let's say, they'll probably have their own shirt too. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And
I have not tried to negotiate with Jared Mees on a shirt yet. But,
he's not vintage yet. He's still.
I gotta. The joke about the internal joke about Jared Mees about the $5 bill.
No.
So I'll leave the names out except for Jared Mees. I'll protect those, the innocent or whatever that saying is. But there's been a running joke that if you put a $5 bill in the corner at turn 4, that Jared would stop to pick it up even if he was in the middle of the race.
Man,
how about Jared?
He's a great guy, and that Springfield race and the Lima race, both great races that he co-promoted with American Flat Track. So it was really cool. I actually had a little bit of time in Springfield when I was in your trailer over there, where we had an actual little bit of time to just casually talk, and that's probably the longest conversation I've ever had with Jared. So that was cool, but he still slung a leg at Springfield last year, so he can't have a vintage shirt yet. He's still racing.
So when he threw a leg over that bike at the end of the day, and he was entered earlier, but when he threw a leg over the bike at the end of the day, I don't know if you were still there for that, but I look up, I hear a motorcycle on track. I knew we were going to do something with the tire test, So I hear a motorcycle on track, and I look over, and I thought I was having a feeder dream because I see Jared Mees in Indian leathers on a Harley Davidson, and I'm going, what in the world? But,
wow.
To your point, Jared and Nicole, they're great people. Jared is a great businessman. He's an interesting one to have. If you ever have him on your show, ask him about his rental properties and the business, and ask him if he's got a property manager for those. And it's it's an interesting conversation. But he's a great businessman. He's a hard negotiator, and Nicole is an incredible person. And man, is she patient. I can only imagine is dealing with Jared every day. Good Lord. No, just kidding. We love working with Jared, and it's his events they're all his. We're not co-promoters of that. We're just a sanctioning body for those races. Those are his, and he does a great job. It's a great fan experience, and those are legendary, historic races that we're going to work with him to continue to grow and keep pushing. Springfield is going to be the finale this year. So if you think about how our Springfield event went last year, it was interesting day, interesting couple days, but great racing no matter what. And great to see, new finishers, new guys running up front. Springfield's always that equalizer in that way where it's anybody's race. You may have a disadvantage at certain other tracks, or you feel like you got a disadvantage at certain other tracks, or But at Springfield, I go back to when Willie McCoy won the Springfield Mile. It's anybody's race. Anybody can win. It's a great equalizer, and it's a great racetrack. So seeing 8 bikes packed up again on the mile is a thrilling experience, and it's awesome to see. If you haven't been to it, it's a bucket list item for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I've talked about, just the whole atmosphere of that weekend, how it's, the whole vendor area has this whole festival carnival feel to it that adds to the excitement of everything. And, people show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and hang out there all day. Fans, I mean, not people that have to be there. So, it's a pretty amazing, unique race for sure. And I do wish that the transmission would have held together on Brian's bike, because I'd like to have seen Jared run. And it was too bad he had the issue he had, because he qualified, I think, top 5, and then the bike just wouldn't go. So I was bummed about that, because it would have been really cool to see all these stars, whether he's technically retired or whatever, all the superstars of American flat track current, on somewhat equal equipment out there throwing it down. It would have been exciting, and he really is the mile master, so we got to give that to him. And he takes a lot of jabs, so he's got to have somewhat of a good sense of humor too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
it's interesting what you just brought up there, the legends. I've always wanted to find a way to do a legends race, and to get that going. So it is on the radar. It's something that we've tried to figure out over the last few years, and haven't necessarily landed on the right idea yet. But I go back to the Sacramento Mile, and seeing Springer and Carr out there on XRs was pretty damn cool. The fans loved it. I thought it was one of the coolest things ever. And I had access to some data that I've never shared, but Springer turned a faster lap than anybody else on a twin that day in that exhibition race they did.
Wow.
And he was actually on, I think, Coolbeth's bike. I think he was on Coolbeth's XR. So it had the transponder on it. We didn't time it for public, for the public, but yeah, Springer turned the fastest lap on a twin of anybody on that day, and it was like his 4th lap out. It's just incredible, man, the talent that those guys have.
Yeah. Well, it'd be great to see those guys back. Maybe you could get Kenny Roberts back too.
Oh yeah, well, we've had Kenny as our Grand Marshal. I think he was the Grand Marshal at Sacramento Mile not that long ago. It'd be great to see. It's great to have those guys as a part of the events. They're the history and the fabric of the sport, and that's.
Yep.
And again, man, they got personalities. Man, they got charisma.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, just the whole. The momentum is growing. You can feel it. I know there's a lot of naysayers when Indian didn't follow through with their production 750. There was a lot of naysayers about the sport because Indian left. But man, I've to be honest, it's more entertaining now. And I enjoy it a lot more. And I was super stoked. I mean, we kicked season off last year with was 6 or 7 brands in Daytona 1, 6 or 7 different brands in the top 10. I mean, what more can you ask for, And 6 or 7 different personalities in the top 10 too. But And that seemed to carry all year. And the points battle was, you know, unbelievably close. Um, and whatever the thing at Springfield, I stand behind. We've talked about it. We've beat that dead horse on the show before, but ultimately, I think AFT AMA Pro Racing made the right choice because you know it sucked, but in the same right, it would suck a lot more to have an engine blow up or something like that, and create a tough situation. So oil down the track, then it's a whole nother deal, right? So um, ultimately, I think they made the right choice, and really, it still came down to the last race of the year, and if one person had a bad day, someone else was going to win the championship, and man, that's what people are putting their butts in the grandstand for, is to see stuff like that.
Yeah, I was heartbroken for Breyer, and it sucks to see something happen where the competition on the racetrack isn't what is going to decide a championship. You never, as a race official, you never want to be uh, involved in a scenario where your input is affecting a championship. But in
Right.
a case like what was happening in Springfield, we had multiple twin cylinder bikes that had either engines had popped, or there were something like 6 or 7 that had gone down, gone out for technical reasons. We had enough instances of twins popping and causing issues that it was, it's something where you start seeing white smoke and you start smelling oil and you're seeing multiple laps, and it's just a ticking time bomb potentially.
Yeah.
And there have been riders that we've lost over the years, from instances where an engine seizes or a bike blows up and puts oil down, and we've lost riders. And so safety is always paramount. And anytime that
Yeah.
we feel that there's the potential for a motorcycle to blow up or something like that, especially on a mile, they're going to get they're going to get black flagged.
Yeah.
And it's just the nature of the beast. We've got to make sure that we're providing the safest possible race environment for the community, and so it was a safety call, and I don't think that anybody that's been involved in race officiating, race sanctioning would have made that same call every time.
Yeah.
And so again, heartbroken for Breyer, and it's just, yeah, you wanted to see what happened. There was so much tension and excitement built around it. You knew that it was going to end up going down to that last race, and
Yeah.
you wanted it to get decided on the last lap, last corner, and to have it not be that way because of a black flag sucks for everybody.
Right.
And I was heartbroken for him.
Yeah, it was a bummer, but it was the right choice. There's no question about it. Safety is the most important thing, rider safety, track crew safety, personnel safety, staff safety. Um, I mean, what we choose in that situation is, we choose to be around racing. We choose racing, or we have chosen racing in our past. We know it's dangerous, but we're thankful for all the safety measures for sure. And you know, it's even if it's just an oil down, it's it's bad TV to wait. you know, you can look at it this way: if it's just an oil down, it's bad TV to wait for half an hour or 45 minutes to clean up an oil down. And folks, maybe you don't understand what it takes to clean up an oil down on dirt, especially if it's blue groove dirt. But I know, and it will. I think it would test any track builder's patience.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that. I'm thinking of. I can just in my mind see every time we've had to stop, and then they're out there with the push broom, and they've got the whatever I can't think of what it's called right now, but the oil they throw on the oil and then they have to sweep it up, and it takes forever. There's no fast way to do it.
No,
you know.
no, no.
And
And
so
you
then
got
everybody's now staring at the officials with a push broom, and it's like,
right.
this is not entertainment.
And most of them don't even know how to dance. So
yeah, and they refuse to if we try to make them.
well, at least now you have the audio system. You could play the music so that they could dance. You get
Yeah.
something crazy with that. So, but yeah, Gene, we're running up on time. I'm sorry we've kept you so long, but I've just been so excited and so enthralled. And man, I am so glad you were on here. I know you're super busy, and you probably got 10 phone calls and 5 emails stacked up now in the last hour. But dude, thanks for hopping on. And when I did the introduction, I said the CEO of American Flat Track. I forgot to interject the part, my good friend and CEO of American Flat Track, Mr. Gene Crouch. And dude, thank you so much for all you're doing for the growth of the sport, for rider safety, and the innovation for kicker, even the promotional side, the innovation that you continue to work with. And there's going to be, I won't let the full cat out of the bag, but I know Gene's working on something that those KMTC 11 kicker marine tower speakers actually have LED built into them. And we're going to leave it at that for now. But
Oh yeah, there's going to
watch
be
your
some
TV.
cool things to come.
Yeah, for sure.
Lauren, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your partnership and the partnership of Kicker. It's been a fun year, and we're just getting started. So, yeah, there's more to come from our innovations with audio and in entertainment for sure.
That's rad. And really, I mean, it really highlights and showcases your commitment for a great fan experience.
That's the
And
key.
ultimately, a great fan experience means they go tell 10 of their friends, and at the next race, their 10 friends come, and all of a sudden, you're like the Monday short track. Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday short track at Jack Pine, where it's packed, sold out. I don't know that you couldn't sit another person down up there. And folks, if definitely tune in to Fans Choice, right? Fans Choice
So
TV.
we're on Flow Sports, Flow Racing. So
Flow
we've got
Racing.
our archive is still on fanschoice.tv. So people are able to go back and see the historic footage. But Flow Racing is our home. So flowsports.tv. And then our shows are also on Fox Sports.
Yeah. And I think you can find them archived on the Fox Sports app. But definitely, if you don't go watch any of them, watch Daytona 1. One of my favorites, just because the track was rough, and I know you guys took a lot of heat over that, but I'm a ride the motorcycle guy. Like day one at Sturgis, the track developed a couple of bumps that made it challenging, but made it super exciting. The second short track, the track was perfect, and the racing was good, but it wasn't near as exciting as the day before, right? So, I I like that. I like character in a race. So, and Scotty gives me a hard time all the time because I want everything to be more and more difficult, and it's like you got to give these guys a break. So,
Yeah, when we have a perfectly prepped track, everybody's weekend goes a lot smoother and everybody's a lot happier. So
yeah,
we made a lot of gains. We had really good tracks this year, and even where we had some challenges like at Daytona, initially we were able to improve and recover. We've got plans now going into next year where these will be world-class tracks everywhere we go. We've got our partnership with Caterpillar is going to be expanding, and they're going to help us in areas, for example, they've got soil scientists. I had no idea. Of course, it makes
Wow.
sense now. Man, if we had the ability to talk with their soil scientists, and there's some pretty cool things that we can do. And so, yeah, there's a lot that's still being finalized right now that we're going to be announcing here soon.
Cool.
But we have, 2026 is going to be the best season yet.
It's going to be exciting. I'm super stoked. Gene, thanks for jumping on. You got any special shout outs? Special shout outs, sponsors, anybody you want to say special thank yous to?
Just you, Lauren. And great to meet you, Cole. Really appreciate the opportunity and look forward to 2026.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for jumping on. We'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you.
Yes.
See ya. Wow. So how good was that for you, Cole?
Well, it's good and bad because good because he's the man, bad because I wish it was Daytona 1 this weekend.
I agree. I agree for sure. Yeah, man, there's some big stuff coming. He's got a lot of great ideas in it, and it's all about, of course, riders and fans, and getting the fans in the grandstands, and keeping them happy. So pretty stoked with all that. Speaking of this weekend, which this episode won't come out until after this weekend, but what are you doing this weekend?
Man, this weekend, more desert championships.
Yes.
I am crew chiefing for a 1600 car number 1608. First time for both of us. So, like you said, this won't come out till afterwards. So, yeah, obviously we won. We dominated the competition. The car ran flawless, and just happy to hold the trophy.
And thank your sponsors.
Thank my sponsors. So far, me. No.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. What else you got coming up? You got a couple of races stacked, or one and then a break, or what?
Yeah. So yeah, break is a relative term, huh? Because 3 weeks later we're right back in the same desert to start the new championship. So kind of getting a shakedown run here this weekend, and then off we go. 2020, whatever it is, 6.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, I think 6. That's awesome, dude. So cool. Yeah, man, I got, let me see. I got a couple of projects here that I'm working on, and then the AMA FIM North American Arena Cross Championship presented by Kicker, round 2 of the 25-26 season in Boise, Idaho, right before Christmas, weekend before Christmas. So
Very nice.
yeah, I'll be up there in Boise hanging with my friends up there and having a good night of racing, hopefully. And other than that, man, dude, we need to wrap this up. We're pushing time. So
Yeah, let's land this plane.
all right. Man, thank you to our great partners and sponsors, Kicker Performance Audio. Find them at kicker.com, on Instagram, Kicker Audio, Facebook, Kicker, YouTube, Kicker Audio. Every other Tuesday night, live on their TV show, Kicker Unmasked, live on all their social media channels, 7:30 Central. Tune in, check them out. Go check out everything you need for your vehicle. Christmas is coming. Let your family know what Kicker products you need.
Love
Of
it.
course, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear. Tommy, Jason, all those guys, they got this thing figured out. They're popping new designs all the time, new colored lenses. Man, you can do about anything you want with over 40 styles of frames. I don't even know how many lens styles. Check them out, bombereyewear.com, or on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear, Facebook, Bomber Eyewear. Of course, Shutter and World Media for all your photography and videography needs, from pre-production planning through actual activation into post-production. Shutter and Whirl has you covered. And Hey Geeks Marketing, of course, handling all your social media and website needs, whatever you need. Yell, Hey Geeks, or find her online, heygeeks.com, or on Instagram at Hey Geeks Marketing. Of course, my man Cole, the Thrasher. Dude, you're like the hammerhead shark of co-hosts.
I'll take it. Don't even get into details. I'm just taking it.
Yeah, it sounded cool. I don't know what I meant, but it sounded cool. So, and with that, Cole, I think you should do the speech.
Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.
Absolutely perfect. For those of you who didn't catch the American Flat Track website earlier, AmericanFlatTrack.com, or on Instagram at American Flat Track. With that, we're wrapped. I want to say God bless you, our fans. God bless our first responders. God bless our service people all around the world. God bless our veterans. God bless America. Mad Dog out.